I'm Anthony F. Elmore, President and Founder of the proud Black Buddhist World Association, here to bring you another exciting Black Buddhist lecture. It is important that you have Black Buddhist teachers. It is Black History Month in America. In the Buddhist religion, it was Asians who colonized the Buddhist religion. Now, let me relate this to our vision of the proud Black Buddhist World Association. We are the real-life Wakandans. We practice Buddhism unaffected by colonizers and Asians who have not only appropriated the Buddhist teachings, Asians especially, our Japanese teachers, have extricated all Black history, culture, and language from the Buddhist teachings. Please understand that the Africans who call themselves Kushites left Africa in several civilizations all over the world. White people do not tell Black people that the Native Americans who Columbus mistakenly called Indians were Black people who were already here in America. White racists do not wish to admit that Black settlers traveled to the Americas hundreds of years before any white men ever reached America. Whites and Asians hide the fact that Africans departed Africa for Asia and they set up civilizations all around the world. The word India means black, and it was known in ancient times as the Indus Valley Civilization. A recent anthropological study reveals that humans known as whites or light-skinned did not emerge in Europe until 8,000 years ago. When you look at the Black Panther movie, we see the country of Wakanda. This is the same as Magadha, the home of the Buddha Shakyamuni. In ancient Magadha, there was no such people as white people. In regards to the Buddha and Buddhist teachings, it was over 1,000 years after the death of the Buddha that the Lotus Sutra would reach China, and it was another 400 years that it would reach Japan. The original people of both China and Japan and all over Asia were Black people who set up Black kingdoms. Whites and Asians hide the fact that Africans departed Africa and Asia and they set up civilizations all around the world. So when we see the movie The Black Panther and we see a Black civilization, this is not far-fetched because this is actually the true history of African people. In fact, all human beings are from Africa. The first human came from Africa and they migrated. In fact, it was only recently through genetic science that we find that light skin only happened 8,000 years ago with people who came from Africa, who lived in Europe. Now, when we look at the Black Panther movie and we see the country of Wakanda, this is the same as Magadha, the home of the Buddha Shakyamuni. In ancient Magadha, there were no such people as white people. In regards to the Buddha and the Buddhist teachings, it was over, now listen, it was over 1,000 years before the teachings of the Buddha or the teachings of the Lotus Sutra arrived in China. And it was another 400 years before the Lotus Sutra arrived in Japan. So you talking 1,400 years after the death of the Buddha before the Japanese even got Buddhism. However, when we listen to our Japanese teachers, they act as if they are the masters of Buddhism. Not only do they act like they're the masters of Buddhism, they have the racist concept where they have extricated all Black Buddhist history, language, and culture from the Buddhist teachings. Now, the theme of the Black Panther movie is the challenge of colonization. See, the reason that we are proud Black Buddhists is because the Buddhist religion was taken over by colonizers. Now, In the 1st century A.D., there was a White Kushan king by the name of Kanishka. This is in the area of Afghanistan. He conquered the people of India. And this White Kushan king created a new Buddhism. He and a Brahman by the name of Ashvogosha. This is the time where Buddhism was separated by race, language, and culture. King Kanishka extricated all of the black history from Buddhism, and the way they did this by introducing a new language called Sanskrit. See, Sanskrit only came about in the AD. The first archaeological evidence of Sanskrit is called the Rudra Danam. So whenever you read Sanskrit or you hear about Sanskrit, Sanskrit is the way that they extricated all black Buddhist history. In fact, what they did in India, the Brahmins came up with a new religion, excuse me, where they integrated the Buddha into the Hindu pantheon, and they came up with a new religion called Hinduism. See, in ancient Aryan writings, the word Hindu does not exist, but what the Hindu Vedics did was they changed the history and they came up with the religion called Hinduism, and they changed the date. They used the Sanskrit and they came up with a false teaching called the Vedas that was written in Sanskrit. Now, there are two things that the Black Panther and the proud black Buddhists have in common, and that is anti-colonization. You see, we are proud black Buddhists. We are anti-colonization. The reason that we formed the Proud Black Buddhist World Association is because our Japanese teachers, the SGI, Nichiren Shoshu, and Nichiren Shu, these Japanese organizations extricate all black Buddhist history. You see, black people do not need to see some Asian on a mountain meditating and call this Buddhism. Black people would be excited to see the story of the ancient black empire called Magadha that was started by a black man by the name of Sisu Naga. You see, the Magadha Empire came from what was known as the Indus Valley Civilization. The Indus Valley Civilization was a black civilization. Now, whites never conquered the Indus Valley, the people in the Indus Valley. They were also called a Sarasvati River civilization, and the river dried up and the people had to leave. And then later, after that, there came the Magadha Empire. So these were black empires. Now, we call ourselves the Proud Black Buddhist World Association because we teach the true and correct history of Buddhism. You see, we Proud Black Buddhists practice only the teachings of the 13th century black Japanese sage Nichiren Shonin, who teaches us that it is only the Lotus Sutra that is the correct teachings of the Buddha Shakyamuni. Now, you see, at the age of 72, the Buddha Shakyamuni first intoned the words Yo Ho Renge Kyo. Now, Nichiren explains that the essence of the Buddhist teachings is in the title. And if you could understand the title of the Lotus Sutra, you could understand the essence of the all of Buddhism because it is all in the title. You see, the Buddha intoned the word Myo. The word Myo means correct. Now, the word Ho means manifestation, or it means the law. So phenomena manifest. Now, Myo also means mystic. So that's his correct mystic law. Now, the Buddha explained this by way of a metaphor. He called this Renge. Renge means cause and effect. and the Buddha used his voice. This voice is called kyo, or this voice is called sutra. Now, when you say the sutra or the voice, or it's the teachings of the Buddha. So when we say yo ho ringe kyo, that means we have the correct law of cause and effect teachings. Now, it was the 13th century Japanese Black Buddhist sage Nichiren who added the word Namu. Now, you got to look up Namu, but we says Namu, M-U, but you can look up Namo. Namo or Namu means the same thing. It means to awaken. Now, we awaken to the correct law of cause and effect teachings. Now, the metaphor of cause and effect, that's Renge, or that is lotus. Now, black people have to look no further than to the father of history, Herodotus, who visited both India and Africa. Now, Herodotus visited the ancient capital of Nubia, which is called Meroe. Now, Herodotus called Meroe the cradle of the gymnosophist. Now, the word gym means naked, and sophist means philosophers. And it was Herodotus who said the Meroe were people of a divine character because he went there and he saw the people. It was Herodotus who also visited India, and he said the people were the same. In fact, it was Herodotus said there were two Ethiopians, one east of the Red Sea and one west of the Red Sea. And the Nubians and the people of India were one and the same people. Everyone came from Africa, but they had a relationship. Now, we practice the teachings of the 13th century Black Buddhist sage Nichiren Shonin, who researched the sutras to explain what happened to black people in their kingdoms. Now, Nichiren wrote a ghost show. It's called the Risho and Conqueror, or the pacification of the land through the teachings of Buddhism. You see, now this is what Nichiren writes. He writes, I have pondered the matter carefully with what limited resources I possess, and have searched rather widely the scriptures for an answer. The people of today turn their backs upon what is right. To a man they give allegiance to evil. This is the reason they have benevolent deities, have abandoned the nation and departed together, that sages leave and do not return. And in their stead come devils and demons, disasters and calamities that arise one after another. I cannot keep silent on this matter. I cannot suppress my fears. Unquote. You see, those of you who are Nichiren Buddhists, please look up the 7 disasters. See, white people never conquered the Africans. The Africans, or the black people in India and the black people in Africa, when they abandoned the Buddhist teachings, they invited the 7 disasters to come upon black people. You see, now, the 7 disasters are: number 1, extraordinary changes in the sun and moon; 2, extraordinary changes in the stars and planets; 3, fires, attacks without, and rebellion from within; unseasonable floods; 5, storms; 6, droughts; 7, war, including enemy attack from without and rebellion from within. The Medicine Man Sutra defines the 7 disasters as what? Number 1, pestilence, foreign invasion, internal strife, extraordinary change in the heaven, solar and lunar eclipses, unseasonable storms, unseasonable drought. Unquote. You see, if you study African history of black people in regards to Buddhism, you will learn that black people suffered the 7 disasters. The reason Nubia got burned down, or the reason Nubia was weakened, is because they were affected by the 7 disasters, and what happened was they took on the religion of the Brahmins. Now that's a whole different story, a whole different lecture, but very quickly, see, the Brahmins, God was Brahma, and they were called a Brahman. A Brahman later on became Abraham, and when the Buddhists and the Africans took on the religion of Abraham, they invited the 7 disasters, they fell out, and they were stricken. But that they were conquered, but that's a whole different lecture. You see, this is what Nietzsche writes about the matter. And he mentions this, and we can take this about slavery in America. He says, quote, now this is the Ghost Show, the Rishon Kakarparani says, quote, not a single person in the entire population will possess a heart of goodness. There will be nothing but binding and enslaving, killing and injuring, anger and contention. Men will slander each other and fawn upon one another, and laws will be twisted until even the innocent are made to suffer. We African Americans and even America suffered because of slavery, white supremacy, and colonization. Now, in regards to white people, in the Proud Black Buddhists, I'm asked often by white people, what difference does it make whether the Buddha was black or white? We at the Proud Black Buddhist World Association not only reject the colonization of the Buddhist religion by Asians and whites who inspire interest, and we inspire interest and excitement about the Buddhist religion by our teaching Buddhism's Black history. See, we chant the words Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Again, Namu means to awaken. We awaken black people to the word Myoho Renge Kyo. The word Myo means correct. The word Ho means law or life's manifestations. We can see a world of inclusion, a world of diversity. Anyway, we Proud Black Buddhists do not wish to see any Asians or whites in our face telling us about Buddhism when they colonized Buddhism by extricating all of Buddhism, black culture, history, and language. We see a world when black people were Buddhists. The Nubians, the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Nagas of India. This is our world. And this is the Proud Black Buddhists. We are the best suited. We are the Proud Black Buddhists.